Hi everyone, welcome back to Aussie Backstories. I'm Andrew Whitfield Cook and we're here with most of the Gallagher family. How are you guys?
Hello.
Good, Andrew. Good, Andrew. Good.
Now, I'm going to start with Rob over there, the patriarch of the family.
Stallion.
Stallion.
Thanks, guys. Thanks.
So Rob, tell us a little bit about your history, because it's mainly to do with farming, but there's some other stuff as well, right?
Yeah, I was born in Mount Isa, so we're born in Western Queensland, and then we sort of moved to the coast when I was probably in grade 3. So we sort of were born out in the Isa and then came to the coast. My dad's parents lived in around the area.
Right.
So
We
moved here.
Huh?
Funny El-Arish, yeah, funny they were in El-Arish. My grandfather had 50 years in the Queensland Railway, and his father had 50 years in the Queensland Railway.
Whoa.
So they had 100 years between them. My grandparents. So we came here, and Dad did farming at Mission Beach, and then sort of later on we moved to where we are in East Palmerston.
What sort of farming?
We grow bananas as our dominant crop, and we grow papaya now too, and dragon fruit and vanilla and
Vanilla?
cocoa. Yeah.
Okay. Now this is something that's interesting, and also papayas. We'll get to papayas, we'll go back to that, but vanilla bean. So we mainly sort of associate vanilla bean with Africa. Tell us about the vanilla beans that you were growing.
Well, it's a relatively new crop in Australia, and it's not a big. Because it's mainly grown in third world countries. It's like bananas too, but it's highly labour intensive. But yeah, we've sort of only been doing it for about 3 years now, so we're sort of establishing into our first crops, and a lot of learning curves. But there's a few people growing it as well up here, so we've learned a lot off those guys.
Right. So this is something that really gets me about farmers is with most businesses, you think about competition. You know, one restaurant will try and outdo another to put them out of business, ostensibly, I guess. But with farmers, there really is this real collective attitude. Everybody wants success. Everybody wants to bring each other up. Yes, there's this competition, but there's so much more of a community aspect to it. Would you agree?
Oh, I think so. In a lot of different crops, but I don't think it's just so important to have good product on the shelves all the time, and it doesn't do anything. It doesn't do any of the products good to run out of that product, you know. So,
yeah.
Say the banana industry now, it spreads from Tully through to the Lakeland, which is really good. It's got a good diverse base of. So if there's any disasters, there's still going to be fruit on the shelves.
Right.
So yeah, it's important. And same like the vanilla, it's early days, and people are willing to share information because there's not a lot grown in Australia, and there's certainly room for expansion in that area. Yeah.
Gotcha. I could go on this for ages, but another aspect that interests me is when you're looking at a crop, you might have the temperate climate for it up here, but you'd also have to think about what the soil is like as well. So how far do you look into a crop before you go, yep, it's a goer?
I think that, some crops are more suited to, the tablelands. We could grow them here, but they just don't perform as good as they can at the tablelands,
Yep.
and vice versa.
Yep.
But we have our problems here too, because we have such high rainfall. We have quite a very humid summer, so we get the extreme during our summer. Our winters are beautiful, but we're still on a learning curve with the vanilla, but we've been growing bananas for long enough to know the problems and
Right.
how to come out of them. But vanilla and some of the other crops are in the early years,
Okay, and what about papayas? Now you get different types.
Yeah, we just grow the red papaya, and we've only been doing that for about 5 years. But it's going quite well. Our country grows papaya very well, and it's an industry that sort of was grown a lot on the tropics, on the wet tropics, but they grow a lot at the tablelands now.
Yeah.
Which is sort of got a bit more controlled weather. So, look, between us all, we keep fruit on the market.
Did you choose the red papaya over the yellow one because I know they all taste great, but the red one tastes less like vomit?
That's a bit rough.
That's true. Also accurate.
Yeah.
Sorry, Garrick. My mate was a yellow farmer.
Whoopsie.
They've certainly improved the yellow variety these days, but certainly it was pretty ordinary for a long time, and I think that's probably why it's never really taken off.
Right.
But yeah, the red papaya is probably the dominant.
Yeah.
And that's what we grow.
It's certainly a much more luscious looking fruit though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
More consistent flavour.
Great. Aaron, we're going to go to you now. Now, Aaron's
Hello.
got his own podcast. What's it called?
Well, I formerly had a podcast. I've dissolved it now just because I was always away, and the my co-founder, wanted to keep doing it weekly, and he was then doing it without me. But it's called Yarns with Az and Taz, and you'll find that on the podcast platforms. And there's about 33 episodes there, and there's some gold in there and some good people we've interviewed and some outlandish yarns. So yeah, check that out if you'd like to.
Now, why have you dissolved that? Tell us.
Oh, I'm massively I'm on the move a lot for work, for life, personal and commercial. I'm never home for more than really a couple of weeks. So yeah,
He's certainly got the wanderlust, this boy.
Yeah.
Tell us about one of your exploits, being asked overnight. What was it about paddling from here?
Yeah. Well, end of last year, a mate of mine said, "Hey, mate, I'm gonna paddle. I'm gonna paddle up the east coast of Australia to the tip. We're gonna paddle through Cape York. We're gonna do it over a couple of months."
You were working at the time.
Yeah, I was working at the time. I'd been working in my full-time job for about 6 weeks, and then I asked them for 5 weeks leave. Well, I asked them initially for 2 weeks, and then as the trip was dawning closer, I was like, you know what, I'd do myself a massive injustice if I didn't go all the way. So I called them and I basically told them I was doing it, and I was just going to have the time off, which they were oddly understanding.
Really?
Yeah, well, they were naturally pissed off, but they were also understanding because I told them from the beginning, like,
Right.
This is me, this is how I operate.
Yeah.
While I'm here, 110%, but I got a lot of things that I want to do, adventure-wise.
So basically, you've worked there for 6 years, and you
6 weeks.
6 weeks, forgive
Yeah.
me, and you asked for long service leave.
Oh, yeah, pretty much.
And so, did you go back to that job?
Yeah, I went back to that job for about 3 weeks, but I had sort of this existential crisis after living off the land and paddling through Cape York and having the purest, most adventurous experience of my life, with the epiphany coming that I need to do this full time for the rest of my life, and I can't contrast this lifestyle with being in the office.
It's a big planet, and the frustrating thing is that we're mortal.
Yeah,
isn't it?
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So that was like one of my motivations for doing the trip. Was like, it was very much out of my comfort zone, and I just wanted to get out there and explore and live off the land and connect with nature, and it was exactly that. So yeah, paddled up the east coast with a team of 4 other very courageous, humble, capable guys, and was one of the best things I've ever done in my life.
I have to ask though, safety. Like, you're going through the northern tropic waters.
Yep.
Where it's not just salties, you've got Portuguese man-of-war, urukanji,
Everything.
box jellyfish.
Yep.
The most peaceful thing you'll meet is a turtle.
Yep. Turtle in the dugong. That's
Yeah,
about
the
it.
dugong, yeah. So how did you traverse those? They were real dangers. Like, they weren't
massively
far away. They were there.
Yep. And like I said before going into it, like, I wasn't an experienced kayaker to any extent. Like, I'd kayaked like 2 or 3 times in my life, and going up there, I'd always wanted to explore a lot of Cape York, but I thought it would be a very unique way to do it in that it's slow formed and you're living off the land, so you get to soak things up, in my opinion, a lot more than if you just cruise past in a chopper or a plane or in a car or on a motorbike or in a fast boat. So the dangers were real, but we had a really good team of guys. Everyone brought a certain skill set to the table in the way of whether it was bow hunting or spear fishing or line fishing or climbing skills or foraging skills. It was good teamwork, and we just didn't take too many large risks other than the trip itself.
How did you indeed choose to liaise with the Indigenous communities along the way for their knowledge?
Yeah, so we did, before we went on the trip, a guy named Juan Walker, who runs cultural tours up on country north of Port Douglas.
Right.
He's got a company called Walkabout Tours, so we went with him and spent a day with him learning about like wet tropics bush tucker on the beach and islands. That was very beneficial. Also, 2 of the guys on the trip are environmental scientists, ecologists.
Oh, right.
So they already had a great grounding of knowledge, but also asked for the relevant permissions the whole way up with traditional elders, and got as much as we could in the way of doing it.
Yeah,
doing
well
it
done.
Right, doing it aligned with country. Yeah.
Well done. I like it.
Yeah.
Tracy,
on to you, Mum.
on to you.
Thank you, Trace.
This is the most
Go, girl.
reticent participant of this podcast.
Gosh, my stories are quite beige.
Can we have a
after-
refill, please?
Oh, come on.
Come on, Trace. She needs a rear. She needs a
So,
Yeah, what do you want to know about me?
well-
I like to drink champagne.
well, it's not just that, but there's a whole family aspect here too that we're going to sort of draw in, and that is the pocket. Now, but before we get to the pocket, we have to delve back into Tracy's past, because it's very closely linked with a dear friend of ours who refuses to appear on the podcast, and indeed today is acting as production assistant to my dear wife Lee. So Tracy, tell us about your history in travel.
Yeah, well, I was a young girl, grew up here at Currumbine Beach and was sent to boarding school. Good Catholic boarding school at Herbert, and I hated it so much that in year 10, so I was about 15, I said, I'm not going back to Mum and Dad. And they said, well, if you get a good job in the school holidays, you don't have to go back. So school holidays of 1984 or whatever it was, I was on the hunt for the best job in town and got a job as a travel agent in Innisfail, which I'm forever grateful for. And I was pretty well doing that from then, so the 80s to now, so that's almost 40 years until COVID came and wrecked everything.
And that'll be the
I
bubbly.
like that pop.
Refills are coming.
Yeah, and then COVID-19. So I was actually in China.
Yeah.
The November of 19.
Oh, you're kidding me.
October of 19, just before it broke out.
Where?
Yeah. Just Beijing and Shanghai.
Just.
Cooking in Wuhan.
Yeah, a little bit of bat hunting.
So it's actually
Got away from
in China, and then I was in Japan in February, and we just came back before the world stopped, and then it was I don't know how to explain it. It was just soul destroying. It was demoralizing. I did a year of work in 2019 just to undo that year of work and cancel and refund everybody's booking the next year. So basically did 2 years of work for nothing, which was, okay, that's just what you do. It was what it was. And then I guess I just got to a point where I thought I just can't keep doing this, and I didn't know what to do, and I was a little bit down and out and thought about a million things that I could do. Will I be an interior decorator? Will I be a real estate agent? Will I get a food van? Can I just stay home and be a farmer's wife?
Yeah.
And anyway, this one here just gave me a good kick up the butt and said, you're too young, you're too creative, you've got too much energy, you've got to do something. And then the pocket came up for sale, and he said, I think you could do this.
We will get on to this, because this is something that truly blows my mind about what you've created. But before that, I just want to ask, you say about COVID and shutting down and all that sort of thing, but you would have been through that before, because you joined travel agent in 1984. In 1988 we had the recession that we had to have.
Nothing was like that.
Right, okay.
Nothing. The world didn't stop with the other, with SARS and with the pilot strikes.
So it was
there
less,
was just
but not a switch.
disruption, but the world didn't stop for 2 years like it has now. No.
Right.
And Karen my cousin Karen, who's in the background over there,
The enigma.
has also been in the
Gorgeous
travel
enigma.
industry. And she'll know that this is seriously the biggest disaster, more so than 9/11, SARS, all the other things that have happened. Well, Ansett. I was around in Ansett and TAA. I can remember the Ansett collapse, but nothing disrupted the world the way this has.
Yeah, there was always something to come up and take its place in those days.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a really good point. Okay, so let's get on to something more positive, because this is just an adventure, this thing. The pocket.
An adventure?
It came, well, it's an adventure, but it came up for sale. Whose idea was it to buy it?
Not mine.
Yeah, it's probably
Between Dad and myself and our brother. We saw it come up for sale, and I thought it was really good opportunity. I thought it was the property itself was positioned very well, like highway frontage, 40 acres, creek going through it, pockets of rainforest, but also cleared land that you could grow crops, have livestock, plus also do re-veg projects and incorporate like native trees, plants, exotic fruit trees.
And that's indeed what it sprung from. It was a vegetable distributor
Yeah,
with a coffee shop attached.
Yeah, it was fresh. Fresh produce
Actually.
wholesale, which we weren't interested in. We were more, well, perhaps down the track, but only if we are growing or like co-farms are growing and we know exactly where
Yep.
the
Produce
fruit,
is coming
veg, herbs, meat, whatever it ends up being comes from. That's really important to us.
Actually, there's an idea that's just sprung to mind. I've interviewed Filippo and Gina Mete up on the Atherton table.
So
and
wish
the
you could have given
Youngborough,
me more of
and
an
I want to
exotic
talk
name,
to you about
Filippo.
them. They're an
Oh, are
amazing
they farm
family.
to plate? The farm, yeah.
You'd
yeah, yeah.
say. Anyway, but that's another conversation behind the scenes. But so tell us a little bit about you coming from travel agent to opening up the pocket. What was your first emotion?
I was a little excited because I love food and I love people and I'm creative. I think I'm creative. Anyway. Yeah. So I thought, and I've travelled a lot, so I've seen how things are done all over the world.
Right.
And I've also done a little bit of teaching as well at TAFE with tourism and hospitality. So customer service is one of my strong points and it's something I think I'm natural at. So I thought, yeah, I should be able to pull this off. And I was excited about putting my little stint into it. And for me, I was, thinking the romantic side of it. Oh, the playlist. Oh, the flowers in the hair. Oh, the cute little cakes.
But that's what you've learnt from overseas.
Yeah,
That is the romance,
yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah.
And so what about the types of food?
Oh no,
No, she's fine. What about the types of food though? So at the moment there's sort of pretty much standard things, but I did notice a Reuben on the menu the other day, which I had to partake in.
Well, if you're going to have a toasty, what would you have? Really? Come on.
I'm with you.
Reuben?
Yeah.
Have you got any other ideas?
So what's the one with sauerkraut rather than pickles? What's that called?
Yeah,
there's one with pastrami and sauerkraut.
Yeah, we
The other
do it
one's
with a
corned beef.
chorizo and sauerkraut and mustard.
Okay.
Yeah, we do that as a special, not every day, just a special. So you've got to come in on a Saturday.
Oh, all right. But
Yeah.
just so that you know, there's this fantastic place. You basically have to screech on the brakes depending on which direction you're coming from. We came from the north, and you drive in to this rustic wooden poles which have a real future, and this is tied into Cassowary Ken, which is
He's
spoken
growing
about
the beautiful birdwing vines
Yeah.
up those posts for
on
us.
another
God bless him.
podcast.
Yeah.
So, but then you turn in, there's ample parking for people who are travelling. So it's not just,
And for caravans as well.
yeah, this is the
Space.
thing. It's not just for day travellers and people passing by who are local, but this is indeed set up perfectly for national travellers. It's a beautiful space. So,
Yeah,
back to you.
we're sort of, our vision is to make it a destination. It's just not a stop in like a McDonald's or a service station where you get a quick bite to eat and a coffee on the run or a Coca-Cola. Like, we don't have Coca-Cola. If we've got a juice and it's in the fridge, it's a good one. It's organic, or it's a kombucha from the Tablelands. So yeah, and it's a destination. We've got now 8 water buffalo.
Yes.
Oh yeah, no, this was interesting. I was going to get onto this.
Side note, it's the only place in Australia, the entire of the Australian continent, that you can see a water buffalo from a main highway, other than possibly the Northern Territory.
Right.
Yep.
And we've got cows and lots of crazy roosters and chickens, and we plan to get more animals. So it's a destination. It's somewhere where you'll stop, you'll get a lovely bite to eat, you'll get really good barista coffee, great treats, everything's local, homemade, local produce.
And you now cater for weddings.
Yeah, apparently so. Apparently.
Yeah, the word's out.
I don't know how that
They had
happened.
their first. It was your first one.
Yeah,
First
yeah.
wedding yesterday.
We had some family friends,
Yeah.
and they really wanted to have their ceremony there, and we thought, yeah, let's do this. Yeah, we'd love that.
Yeah.
So we felt very honoured that they wanted to have it there, and it was beautiful.
So the evolution of the place. You've got a smaller coffee shop. You've got a nice balcony, a little green area where you held a wedding, and then you've got the paddocks out the back. But there's a whole barn How are you going to transform that? What are the ideas? Who
Too
wants
many,
to take this?
Too many ideas.
Who wants to take this?
Well, let's go with the boss pirate, Robert Gallagher. What would your vision
Rob?
be for the shed, mate?
I think our vision will be we'll probably do a lot more events in time.
Yep.
We'll expand the cafe to a degree, but do a lot more events, more regular events.
Mm.
And that shed will be part of that whole establishment. We'll sort of do it up in a special way that gives it its own.
Will the piano be there in that silky wood table?
That will always be there.
They are just exceptional
Because
people.
we're not moving the piano.
Standard, yes. We've ruined ourselves many a time. That's the last stop for that piano. It's probably about the fourth time we moved
Never
it.
again.
That's it.
And so what about wildlife? You know, like Ken was telling us the other day that on the edge there's this gorgeous stream, by the way, down the far edge of the property, which we were lucky enough to go down to. Thank you so much for lending us your quad boat, mate.
Of course.
That's trust. But indeed, cassowaries come in and forage around the edge. Is that right?
Yes, yeah. We sort of there's a house in that area as well. So yeah, often we have cassowaries around the edge of the fences there because there's a lot of natural foods. We have the Kwangdong and Davison plum and other varieties there that sort of the cassowaries love, and it's a corridor for. It's probably the one of the closest corridors to the coast for a lot of the cassowaries and
Yeah.
you know a lot of the native.
Yeah, so I guess to give that context, the unfortunate reality of North Queensland is that it's been heavily logged
Yep.
and then turned into either sugarcane or cattle, pretty much from just north of Cooktown all the way to the Sunshine Coast. So, which was, I guess, one of the reasons we wanted to get the property as well, is that most of it was cleared, so that we did have the opportunity to do a lot of re-veg on it and create as biodiverse area as we could, and gather seeds and propagate them from different rainforest and geographical environments in the wet tropics.
Yep.
And then be able to plant them there. But yeah, like Dad said, along the creek, it was too hard, obviously, to go down there and log a lot of those trees.
Yeah.
So the rainforest that is there acts as this. It's pretty much a
Natural
wildlife corridor.
Yeah,
And
natural.
along that you got cassowaries and owls and kingfishers and kookaburras and wallabies and the
Yeah.
creeks, during the summer you get crocs going through. There's barramundi, mangrove jacks, jungle perch, which are endangered, and they grow a centimetre a year. So there's lots of really cool wildlife just on that little pocket.
Right.
The pocket.
Yeah, because it's a beautiful stream there. It's
Oh,
like
stunning.
Big Maria, so it's close to the where it comes from. Sort
Yep.
of the mountains or the rainforest is very close there. So it's a bit like a lot of the mountain streams. They run clear all the time.
Yep.
even
You
when
can
it's-
drink out of it, no
yeah,
worries.
Even when it's wet season, they don't run dirty. They clean up very quickly. So we're lucky to have that sort of stream in the property. And
So-
what Aaron was saying with the re-veg, we've got some beautiful rainforest on it, and we're going to enhance that.
So I can really see the pocket turning into not just, what has started out as a coffee shop. You're going to expand it into events. But I also see, with Ken's vision and your guidance, I can also see this being almost like a learning centre for
Yeah, we'd love
for
that.
wildlife, for live things.
Yeah, we'd
Um,
love to put in also like really big communal gardens that
Yeah.
everybody can come and grow their vegetables and be a part of, and
Great.
have schools come and learn. And
walking tracks. We'll make a walking track across.
Sorry, say that again.
Walking tracks.
Yep.
We'll make walking tracks across so people can park. They can walk over towards the creek where we've enhanced and
see
walk
the
between the
animals.
buffalo and the other animals that we have there. So they'll be sort of getting more close and personal without any danger.
Yeah.
So so we've got a good vision to really bring the property, and as Aaron was saying, or what we've talked about, is we want to sort of bring that farm concept to the people, so that's sort of like your farm in the tropics,
So this was the other point I was going to make, is that it's not just going to be an educational location for wildlife, but also for how we get our food, which we've just lost this concept of, and we seem to have lost the respect for. That, particularly meat eaters, I'm a meat eater, that we have this lack of respect for where meat comes from. You know, they just think a chicken fillet and started out in a packet.
Yeah, Woolworths,
But also vegetables. You know, we are seeing this in the Western world. We know that it's happened in America. We're seeing it in Australia. We need to get back to this, not just knowledge, but also a responsibility of where things come from and what care it takes and what effort it takes to bring these sort of things to our table. Would you agree?
Completely, Andrew. You've got to get back to basics. And
pun intended.
just wanted to see if I could throw that in there.
How about you?
Yeah, got to get back to basics. No, well, look, the reality is, and you'd know this as much as anyone, that the most intimate connection that people have with the earth is what we put in our body, food and drink. So, yeah, we want to really create the space into an interactive, educational, uplifting experience. Like Mum said, a destination, a must-see, and people are walking away going, wow, I had no idea what ginger looked like, turmeric looked like, all these different varieties of chilies. Yeah, look at all these exotic fruits. Yeah,
we always try
animals,
to have something
everything
quirky in the store for people to ask questions about, whether it's a soursop or an abu or a black sapodi, and we'll often open one up and give someone a spoon and say, come on, try it.
Because even in our area there, we do have a lot of in that El-Arish area there is a lot of tropical fruit growers or rarer tropical fruit growers, which is wonderful. So we'd like to sort of enhance the products that they've been growing for many years, but bring them locally.
Yep. I'm loving this vision, guys. Absolutely love it.
My idea is that you can go outside with a basket, pick your own kilo of tomatoes and come in and pay for it, and they've been freshly picked. That's what I would love to see.
This is awesome. Yeah. And all while being greeted and farewelled by a flurry of butterflies as you drive in.
I
mean, this is Ken.
Butterflies on cue.
Yeah.
Butterflies.
Cue the butterflies. That's for you, Phil.
Yeah.
It's not just chooks. Guys, thank you so much for sharing your passion, your stories, and your love of this vision of what's going to evolve with the pocket.
We're excited.
Thanks so much.
Pleasure,
We're
Andrew.
excited.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for having
Thanks,
us.
Andrew.
It's an absolute pleasure.
Love having you at the beach here today.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yep, it was great.
Thanks for the juice.
This is Aussie Backstory. I'm Andrew Whitfield Cook.